Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever seen a tricycle so serious it could legally write parking tickets, deliver car parts, and still haul a hot dog stand on the weekend? No, it's not my cousin Randy on a sugar rush. It's the Harley-Davidson Servi-Car, 1937 to 1941 edition. The only machine that looks like it could either arrest you or fix your carburetor, depending on how polite you are. Before we dive in like a cop onto a donut box, smash that subscribe button like your neighbor smashes facts during political debates. Because here on Timmy Tiny Wheels, we deliver the truth about weird wheels, odd engineering, and tricycles that outlived more marriages than my Aunt Cheryl's cookbook. I believe it started with a depression. No, not the kind you get from scrolling Facebook comments. It was the 1930s. The Great Depression had Americans pinching pennies so hard, Lincoln got a nosebleed. Harley-Davidson, never one to sit still, figured, hey, what if we made a motorcycle that also kinda worked like a truck, a police cruiser, and a delivery boy, all in one? Thus, the Servi-Car was born in the land of Milwaukee in 1932, and by 1937 it had fully evolved into the utilitarian beast we're talking about today. Designed for businesses that couldn't afford a full-blown van or a full-blown economy, the Servi-Car aimed at mechanics, cops, and anyone who thought 2 wheels weren't enough and 4 were too fancy. Engineers ditched comfort for practicality, which, frankly, is the same philosophy behind every folding chair ever made. They went with a rigid frame because who needs suspension when your spine can absorb trauma, and slapped on a cargo box so big it could carry more junk than my neighbor Bob's garage. Under the hood, or somewhere close to the idea of a hood, was a 45 cubic inch Flathead V-Twin. That's about 742 cubic centimeters of pure air-cooled stubbornness, producing around 22 to 24 horsepower at 4,400 revolutions per minute. Not exactly the kind of power that'll tear your arms off, but enough to get you and your box of spark plugs across town with mild urgency. The engine got a major upgrade in 1937, switching from an oil loss system where oil just vanished like my paycheck to a recirculating oil system that finally showed signs of mechanical decency. The 3-speed transmission had a foot-operated clutch and hand shifter mounted on the tank, which sounds confusing until you realize people also thought leeches cured diseases. From 1933 onward, Harley added a reverse gear because trying to push a loaded 3-wheeler backward is how chiropractors afford vacation homes. The frame? Rigid as my Uncle Carl's opinions at Thanksgiving. No rear suspension, just a solid axle slapped directly onto the steel frame. But the genius part was the rear track. 42 inches, wide, same as most cars of the time, so it could roll comfortably in existing ruts. Because nothing says American engineering like, just follow the other guy's tracks and hope for the best. Up front, you had the signature Springer fork, 2 parallel springs keeping the illusion of suspension alive. And braking? Drum brakes, of course. 1 in the front and initially just 1 shared drum for the rear 2 wheels. But in 1937, Harley said, maybe stopping is important, and added individual drums to each rear wheel. Progress, baby. Dimensions? Big enough to haul junk, small enough to dodge taxes. Overall length was about 8 feet 4 inches or 2,540 millimeters, and width around 4 feet or 1,220 millimeters. Weight hovered between 350 to 400 kilograms, 770 to 880 pounds, depending on how many regrets you stored in the cargo box. The gas tank held 5 gallons, roughly 19 liters, which was plenty considering it sipped fuel at about 4 to 5 liters per 100 kilometers, or around 50 to 60 miles per gallon. It could reach speeds of 100 kilometers per hour or 62 miles per hour, downhill with a tailwind and divine intervention. And if you're wondering who bought these things, everyone. Literally everyone. Police departments, mechanics, hot dog vendors, funeral homes, I'm not even kidding. Harley made several box variants like G, GA, GD, and GDT, each with its own purpose. Some had compressed air tanks, some had tow hitches, and some were just glorified street-legal wheelbarrows. But they worked. And in a world recovering from economic collapse, working was more important than comfort or looks. And get this, the Servi-Car lasted so long in production, 1932 to 1973, it could have retired with a pension and grandkids. It's the only Harley that can say, "back in my day," and mean 5 different decades. Back in 1937, a brand new Harley-Davidson Servi-Car would have set you back around $515. Adjusted for inflation, that's about $10,000 or 9,000 euros today. Not bad for a vehicle that could arrest you, fix you, and deliver you lunch. Now here's the kicker. In March 2024, a beautifully restored 1940 Servi-Car sold at Mecum Auctions for $29,700. In 2021, a 1939 model sold for $16,500. And these weren't even the police versions with working sirens and vintage swagger. Just clean, crisp survivors that made it through more world wars than your average reality TV star. I think what I love the most about the 1937-1941 Servi-Car is how shamelessly practical it was. No frills, no nonsense, just metal, rubber, oil, and a whole lot of purpose. It was built for people who didn't need speed, they needed function. The kind of folks who fixed their own shoes, gave unsolicited advice about alternators, and never missed a diner special. So let's give it some respect. Not because it's pretty, it's not. Not because it's fast, it's really not. But because it did its job and kept doing it for 41 years. And honestly, I believe the world could use a bit more of that kind of honesty on wheels. Stick around, folks, because next time we might just uncover a moped so strange it makes conspiracy theorists look tame. Until then, stay weird, stay rolling. And don't forget to subscribe to Timmy Tiny Wheels, where every vehicle has a story and every neighbor thinks they can tell it better than me.